Welcome back to Normal Baseball. Today we are continuing our 2023 Will Be Team Projection Series. Today we have the New York Mets. Let's get into it. What's going on? Welcome back to yet another episode of Normal Baseball. Today we are continuing our 2023 Will Be Team Projection Series. Today we have the New York Mets, the Metropolitans, a team that won 101 games last season. Kind of blew a division lead, had some ups and downs, was eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by the San Diego Padres in kind of a shock. And hoping to have a better season this year, if possible. A lot of stuff has happened. Basically, with these Will Be's, we graded every team in baseball on a scale of 1 to 10 in 7 different categories. Those categories are lineup, bench, defense, rotation, bullpen, coaching, and energy. And we totaled all the scores and power ranked them from highest to lowest. The New York Mets came in at the third best team in baseball and the second best team in the National League. The New York Mets.
The New York Mets.
Do you have anything to say about the 2022 New York Mets, Lewis?
Definitely one of the better Mets teams we've seen in quite some time. Looking forward to them taking it not as a massive loss of a season, but as a massive gain. And hopefully they really turn it into something, they snowball it into this upcoming season.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see if they can keep building momentum and hopefully not blow a division lead this year, because last year they had a 10.5 game lead on the Braves, and we all know they did not wind up winning the division. So Mets do better this year, but we'll see. So let's talk about their team a little bit. We're going to start with their lineup. Out of 10, we gave their lineup an 8.7. 8.7 out of 10 on their lineup. It is a very strong lineup. It's looking like Brandon Nimmo in center field, Starling Marte in right field, Francisco Lindor at shortstop, Pete Alonso at first base, Jeff McNeil at second base, Mark Canha in left field, Danny Burgers DHing, Eduardo Escobar at third base, and Omar Narvaez catching. A lot of stuff with Nimmo was he had an injury, I believe, but he should be good for opening day.
He, according to every doctor, he'll be fine for opening day. During a spring training game, he hurt his knee, but luckily it was not too serious. It was nothing to be worried about, kind of just tweaked it the wrong way, and it happened early enough in spring training that he should be fine for opening day.
So that's very good for them, because they did sign him, re-sign him this year, this offseason. So it would have been a tough loss to lose him before the season even started, because they have lost a couple guys before the season starts, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Moving down, Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso. I am so excited to watch these guys play this year. Last year, they simply had a lot of fun. Like, the Mets were a very, very, very fun team. Almost feels like regardless if they were on a winning streak or a losing streak, they were just a very, very, very fun team to watch. And these two guys were like the core of it. Not even because they are the two best players in this lineup, two best hitters in this lineup, but because of their personalities as well.
Oh, for sure. I definitely think that no matter what time of year it was for the New York Mets, whether it was, like Alex mentioned, they were on a hot streak, or they were slipping and sliding a little bit, you can always talk about Lindor and Alonso especially, and you can honestly talk about the entire lineup being just extremely entertaining, fun to watch. They definitely knew how to put on a show and ensure that every fan in the ballpark, whether home or away, was having a good time.
Yeah, that was what they did last season. Yes. So, in terms of how I think those two will perform this season, I think both of them are going to have monster years. I think we could possibly see Lindor finish top 3 MVP voting for the National League. Pete, I don't think he'll get that high. I don't think he'll be top 3 in MVP voting. I know how you feel about Pete Alonso this season, but I don't see that quite happening. I see that more of Lindor. Out of the two, I think Lindor will have a better season than Alonso, but I think they're both going to have really big seasons, and once again, they are going to be the spark plug, the guys carrying this team the most to however many wins they will get this season.
All right, if you want to talk about spark plugs, I think that two guys who I would consider to be spark plugs who aren't really like the stars of the show. I mean, you have to look at guys like Jeff McNeil and like Mark Canha. They're slotted on Fangraphs to bat 5th and 6th for this Mets lineup come opening day. But Jeff McNeil coming off a batting title, he looks really good. Mark Canha, I'm hoping just to see another Mark Canha-esque season from him, because he does very well, especially to be in the bottom half of a very, very good Mets lineup. I think that those two guys are definitely going to be guys that we look at and like, oh, like, hey, they're moving the chains, singles, doubles when you need it, making good defensive plays, will certainly keep the energy up in their dugout and stuff like that. Looking forward to it from Jeff McNeil and Mark Canha.
Yeah, Jeff McNeil, surprising we didn't mention him first. He did win the NL batting title last season with a .326 batting average. If he can continue to just focus on hitting the ball rather than hitting for power. Obviously, yes, every player focuses on hitting the ball, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just hitting for contact and really focusing more on bat to ball, hitting it the other way. Have you seen how much he chokes up on the bat? Mm-hmm. He just wants to make contact with the ball. He wants to get on base as much as possible, and that's exactly what he did last season. I think he'll continue to look for hitting for average, because after doing all that and having the best season of your career, why wouldn't you continue to do the same thing? I don't think Jeff McNeil's a guy that I want to see more power from. He had 9 home runs last year. Don't think I need to see any home runs from Jeff McNeil. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy anymore because of the average. He's that true, he's not like the Miggy triple crown winner who's going to also hit the home runs. He's the guy who's like, I'm going to get on base as many times as possible regardless of how I do it, and I'm not focusing on hitting any home runs.
Yep, that's exactly what this lineup is going to need from a guy like Jeff McNeil to really produce and keep everything moving, because like we've mentioned already, they do have in their top 4 guys like Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso. We know that all 4 of those guys can really get after if they need be. Brandon Nimmo being sort of the wild card of it because he takes a lot of walks. Well, at least he tries to take a lot of walks. When you get to the 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, you start to think can this lineup really push it? Can we get back to that top of the lineup where we have the power hitters in Lindor and Alonso and Marte? Can we get back there? And having Jeff McNeil to really set the tone for the bottom half of the lineup makes me a lot more comfortable in saying yes, they can.
Yeah. Brandon Nimmo led the team in walks last year with 71. Mm-hmm. Mark Canha led them in hit by pitches because, Mark Canha is the king of getting hit by pitches.
They call him the ball magnet.
28 hit by pitches. That's gotta hurt.
It's not hard, not easy to do.
You were about to say not hard to do.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to do. Don't really plan.
It is very hard to do. Not easy.
I'm excited to see what this lineup is able to do in terms of production. Last season as a team, it's crazy to think Robinson Cano was on this team at the beginning of last season.
Yeah.
Because that just feels so far back, and it just feels so out of the picture. It's kind of crazy. This team scored 772 runs last season. Just overall, an incredible lineup. They are going to still produce this season. Mm-hmm. No real additions to the lineup except for Omar Narvaez, who they signed back in December. They signed him to a 2-year, $15 million deal with a player option for next year. So we'll see how he performs. Last year in Milwaukee, he only in 84 games, he hit .206. But from my understanding, he is a good defensive catcher. That's kind of why he's there. They're not looking for, too much of a production with the bat, because the rest of the lineup picks up for it anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we could see Omar Narvaez hit the ball a good bit. I mean, he's not a 206 type hitter. He'll definitely be better than that, but he's not going to be he's not going to be the JT Real Muto kind of guy.
Of course, and I think that I can confidently say that having a guy who is a little bit more experienced behind the plate, who has more confidence and defensive ability, goes a long way, especially when you're talking about the pitching staff, which we're going to get to soon. I feel like the pitchers that the Mets have definitely need a solid backstop who they can rely on, not just for catching balls and strikes, but for picking a runner off at first, gunning a runner down at second, and just being a good overall leader on the field.
Yeah, I think he will be splitting a lot of time with Nito, however, because...
We'll see. So far, I don't really know. Omar Narvaez has looked very good at the plate when it comes to spring training, but it is spring training.
I'm just saying they will be splitting a lot of time. It's not like Omar Narvaez is their like I said, it's not like he's their JT Real Muto. He's not like he's their Adley Rutschman. Like, he's not going to be back there every day.
Right.
I think him and Nito are literally just going to be platooning all season, which is really good for the Mets because you have all these guys who where they're playing. It's like around the same lineup every day, but you do have that one aspect where it kind of depends on who's pitching because Nito's going to catch the same guys and Narvaez is going to catch the same guys. So we'll see how that works out. I always think, me personally, I like the whole two catcher thing. Mm-hmm. When one of them's not like a bona fide star, I like the two catcher system.
Okay.
Because it gives just more diversity, more chances for one of those guys to get hot at different times. When one's slugging, it's okay. When one's slumping, it's okay because he's not going to be playing every day, and you got the other options. I really like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I can get behind it. Of course, the stars are the only exceptions, which I completely agree with.
Yeah. So, do we want to move to anyone else in their lineup? Do we talk about everyone? Vogelback, Danny Burgers.
He's going for at least one steal this season. Thank God.
If Vogelback steals a base, we should do a prop bet. If Vogelback steals a base, we'll figure it out. But I think if Vogelback steals a base, I'll be shocked.
All right. I think we're gonna see over 0.5 steals for Danny Burgers.
I'm excited.
The commercial that he has with Buck Showalter of talking about how he wants to steal a base, it's gonna happen.
I'm excited to see Daniel Vogelback in this lineup because last season it was kind of a surprise move for a lot of people. Everyone was like, why did they just trade for Daniel Vogelback? He's not good enough to be on this team. But he really, when you think about it, he really is. He's the power guy. When he swings the bat, he's making contact and it's going far.
Yeah, which this team very clearly needs, and they tried to address it this offseason when they attempted to sign Carlos Correa. Just getting another power bat that can be very consistent and relied upon goes a really long way in this league. And yes, although they did not get Carlos Correa, having Daniel Vogelback is still a very, very good option, especially in the second half of that lineup.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Correa situation.
It's water under the bridge.
Yeah,
no point.
Just a little recap, though. They thought they had Correa. They did not want him in the end because of the doctor stuff, which was, imagine Correa in this lineup. He would have been playing third, probably, instead of Eduardo Escobar. It would have been even crazier. But they had to settle without him. They thought it was the safer option, which is the same reason they didn't retain DeGrom. But yeah, Vogie, I believe last season he led the league, or he was close to leading the league in least amount of swings because he just wouldn't swing the bat when he didn't think it was a great pitch to hit.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see that kind of approach to the plate again this season. Just him going up there and is like, I'm only hitting a fastball that you put in the middle of the plate.
Just spitting on every
and you're going to do it eventually.
Eventually. Trial and error.
I love Vogelback. But that is their lineup. Eduardo Escobar as well is in there, who was good last season, considering. Like we said with the Correa thing, Correa definitely would have been a better bat.
Sure.
But Eduardo Escobar is still an amazing bat in there. I know a couple stretches last season that he got really, really, really hot and he was playing really well. Starling Marte, another guy we barely talked about. I want to see more speed from Starling Marte this season.
Going into, I believe he's going to be turning 35 this season too.
He stole 47 bags.
He still has so much speed in left in his legs.
He's not towards the top of the list in MLB anymore in terms of sprint speed and all that. But you stole 47 bases last 2 seasons ago.
He can do it.
I want to see him just a little more. I think he stole 16 last season. Mm-hmm. Somewhere around there. I can check, but I want to see more steals from him. Overall, good player. I think he does have room for improvement, though. Yeah, right. He stole 18 bags last season. Yeah. And that's their lineup. Do you have any other thoughts on their lineup before we move on to their bench?
No, it just looks really solid. Looking forward to seeing how much they produce.
Fair.
That's my closing statement.
For their bench, we gave their bench a 6.8 out of 10. Mm-hmm. Their bench consists of Tomas Nido, who, like I said, will probably be, platooning with Narvaez and splitting time pretty much depending on who's pitching. Darren Ruff, the future MVP of the league. Luis Guillorme, who was, pretty big part of their team last season considering he is a bench guy. And Tommy Pham, who they got in free agency this season. They signed him to a, I believe, 1-year deal. He'll be in the outfield a good bit. I believe just, moving some guys around positional-wise. We will see him a lot.
Giving guys an off day is very important, especially when you're talking about these could-be glass cannons like Brandon Nimmo and Starling Marte. We saw it last season at the end. Starling Marte got injured, which was a very big concern. Brandon Nimmo, obviously, he got hurt a little bit in spring training, and prior to last season, I don't think he played over 110 games for the big league club, so definitely good to get these guys a day off when they need it.
Yeah. Tommy Pham was kind of the guy who they signed him this offseason, and a lot of people were like, there were a lot better options out there. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a shock to some because Steve Cohen, he's going out there, he's getting the best guy he possibly can every single time. Yeah. And Tommy Pham at that time was not the best guy left. But I think the potential of Tommy Pham is very high based on, how he played when in his, 29, 30, 28 season, 28 to 30 seasons where he was batting anywhere from, 300 to 275-ish. Since then, the average has gone very, very far down. Last season was arguably the worst of his career. He played a whole season, batted 229, with a 102 WRC plus. Or rather, that was 2021, my fault. 2022 was a little better than 2021, but still overall, the WRC plus was 89. So I guess if you're looking at that, it was the worst season of his career. I'm hoping he can, start to make more contact rather than just going out there and swinging for the fences, because he struck out in 26.8% of his at-bats last season, which is a lot. And he only walked 9% of his at-bats, which is not a lot either. So I'd like to see him, go out there and focus on, making contact a little more than being a power hitter. Because he only had 17 homers last year.
Tommy Pham becoming a slap hitter is, I think, the most poetic thing in baseball.
Can you, elaborate a little bit?
Tommy Pham.
Yeah, but how is that the most poetic thing in baseball?
Well, he slapped the shit out of Jock Peterson last season.
I actually forgot about that.
Yeah. Tommy the Slap Pham becoming a slap hitter off the bench for the New York Mets is one of the most poetic things in baseball.
The Giants will be playing the Mets at some point this season.
Twice?
Yeah. So we will see Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson in the same stadium once again. And I'm very excited for that.
Fair enough. But yeah, their bench, obviously, it looks good. Alex has mentioned twice now about the catching platoon, which is good. Luis Guillorme, a very solid infield option off the bench, definitely, especially when you're talking about third base, second base, and first base. Can definitely get a good amount of reps there, and it plays very solid defensively. And future MVP of the league this upcoming season, Darren Ruff, holding it down, doing whatever it needs to do to just get some wins, will look good.
Darren Ruff, what a guy. How is he? Okay, can we be serious really quick?
All-time Met.
Can we be serious really quick?
Of course.
How is he still on this team?
I don't know.
Do they see something in him?
Well, according to the beat reporters and guys who have inside on the Mets, the Mets are looking to cut him after opening day. It's just a matter of when. They do want to have him on the roster to start opening day, just because I think they're worried about their younger guys not being completely ready yet. Especially yesterday, the news came out that Brett Baty got optioned to AAA rather than making the opening day roster.
Which was such a shock to me.
Yeah, definitely.
So crazy.
Definitely blindsided me a little bit because I did not think that was going to happen. But I do think that at some point Darren Ruff will be DFA'd or released by the New York Mets in favor of bringing in a younger, high-level prospect.
Wow. I don't know. I still see the potential in Darren Ruff because when you look at his time with the Giants in 2020, 2021, he was like a 275 hitter, 273 hitter-ish, if I'm doing my turkey math right, with a 140 WRC plus. I mean, like, he still has that potential to be a decent bench player in the league, but I don't want to get started because I know based on last year, he was horrible, and Mets fans absolutely hate him. Frank the Tank probably wants him gone, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for Darren Ruff. Darren Ruff, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong, Darren Ruff. Although I do think he'll be gone shortly after opening day. I think maybe... Yeah, no. There's not much else to it. I think Darren Ruff won't be on this team for much longer.
Which is sad.
Because Is it sad?
I mean, when he raises the MVP trophy this season, will he thank the Mets?
Let's move on to their defense. Their defense, we gave them an 8.1 out of 10. They have a really good defense. Like, it's pretty much as simple as that. Lindor is obviously one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. Wow, I said shortstops weird. Shortstops in baseball. Marte in the outfield is good. He's not a great defender, but he's not bad in any sorts. Good defense all around. McNeil, good defense. Pete Alonso he's decent defense. He's not nothing to stand out.
He has his moments where he looks like a very plus defender.
In all reality, I think this might have been a little too high, an 8.1, especially considering what we had for a couple other teams.
I think it's exactly where it needs to be for this team. You're talking about Omar Narvaez behind the plate. The outfield is, dare I say, even perfect for what it needs to be, playing 81 games in Citi Field with Brandon Nimmo, Starling Marte, and Mark Canha. Jeff McNeil, flying squirrel, he can get after it. His up-the-middle partner, Francisco Lindor, looks good. And at some point, I think we're going to see Brett Baty take over the third base role. And from what I know and from what I've seen, he looks very good defensively at third base.
Yeah, Brett Baty taking over the third base role is going to be fun. I mean, I at the same time, you're going to have Eduardo Escobar there playing his heart out because, if if Baty comes in and tries to take that spot from him, Escobar's going to want to be playing his butt off to try to make that not happen.
Yeah.
Because while they are trying to win as many games as possible, he's still trying to be a part of it, rather than playing third base when Baty's DHing, or DHing when Vogelback's out, or DHing when Vogelback needs a rest day. Like becoming a bench guy. He doesn't want to do that. So I think that will be interesting. That kind of competition there between Escobar and Baty, especially that Baty's not even on the team. Baty is just lurking in the minor leagues right now, obviously, because he didn't make the opening day roster.
Yep.
So, moving on to their pitching. Their pitching is the highlight of this team, which is crazy because their lineup is also incredible.
For sure.
Their starting rotation, we gave them an 8.7 out of 10. Their starting rotation is looking like Max Scherzer, David Peterson, Justin Verlander, Kodai Senga, and Carlos Carrasco. I said David Peterson before I said Justin Verlander because that is the order that they will be pitching in to start the season. That has been announced that Verlander is going to be pitching the third game of the season. Obviously, that Verlander pickup was incredible. They don't want to pay DeGrom for, they don't want to give him a 5-year contract. They say, we'll pass on that. We'll take Verlander instead. And
on a 3-year contract.
On a 3-year contract. A lot of money. But this is a guy who is coming off a unanimous Cy Young Award. Was dominant last season with the Astros. Not only that, but they have Max Scherzer, who was very good for them last season, except for, his one playoff start, which is what a lot of fans are looking at. The 7 earned runs in one playoff start.
10 mil a homer.
10 million a homer. But looking at the kind of back-end guys, we know how good Max Scherzer is. We know how good Justin Verlander is. The biggest wild card here, in my opinion, is Kodai Senga, which a lot of people are saying, assuming, they got this guy from Japan. He's this big guy in Japan. He's going to come in and he's going to be dominant. I still think in my eyes he's a wild card. We see him in spring training, yes, but like we said, spring training, we've said this so many times, spring training stats do not matter. They matter for the guys trying to make the opening day roster.
Yes.
I don't think they matter in terms of looking at how players are going to do this season.
Right. However, I will say that Kodai Senga, we made this ranking prior to any baseball games being played, which feels like forever ago now that we've had both the WBC and spring training. But from what I have watched so far, and I had the high honor of being able to attend a Kodai Senga start in person, and oh my God, does he look really good.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not
saying that you are at all. I completely understand what you're saying, but I'm just putting it out there now that I really do believe in Kodai Senga, and I think that he is going to be very, very reliable, very dependent upon, and he's going to show up when needed.
Yeah, I don't think that he's going to be bad. I do think he will be good. He's not just going to come and give up 4 runs every start, like something like that. But I think he's the wild card in the sense of, we've seen him pitch against, the players in spring training, but we haven't seen him go against the rest of the league.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him face a full lineup of just studs, like the Braves lineup. We haven't seen him face the starting lineup for the Atlanta Braves. Like, just stuff like that is kind of what makes him more of a wild card to me. Do I think he'll still be good? Yes. I'm just saying wild card in the aspect of, will he be a bona fide stud, this guy can be an ace? Or will he be yes, this is a 3-4 pitcher in our rotation? Like, I want to see if he can, be just as good as Max Scherzer, keeping it up with Max Scherzer, with that ghost forkball that just absolutely destroys hitters.
Yes.
Looking to the back end of their bullpen, I know there was a lot of...
Bullpen.
Looking to the back end of their rotation, Carrasco's their 5. That's kind of guaranteed. Quintana was supposed to be in this rotation. Quintana is injured. From what I understand, for a few months.
Yeah.
He had his surgery on his rib, so he'll be out for a while. Which is why they have this kind of weird spot with their second spot in their rotation, which is between David Peterson and Tyler McGill, which is what a lot of people are saying. Based on what Fangraphs is telling us, they are going with David Peterson to start the second game of the season. A lefty, getting a lefty into that rotation of all righties. So I'm interested to see how David Peterson does, because I talked to a couple Mets fans, and from my understanding, he was, and even from me watching, I kind of knew it prior, he was in and out of the bullpen last season. Mm-hmm. He was very on and off about how good of a starter he was, which is why he was in and out of the bullpen last season. So I'm interested to see what he can do. Once Quintana comes back, I think Quintana will be good, and he'll be a very good back-end pitcher for this rotation.
Okay.
Got any thoughts on David Peterson? Or really just anyone in the rotation.
Well, the only thing that I really want to say about this rotation, obviously, we know about the Justin Verlander, about the Max Scherzer. I believe, at least I personally know about Kodai Senga. I think that it's a very, very good 1-2-3. I do think that when Quintana does get healthy again, I think he's going to have to earn his way back into the starting rotation. I don't think that he's as good as people have made him out to be over these past couple of seasons, and especially coming off of an injury. I'm not too sure how certain it is that he's going to slot right back into a starting pitcher role for the foreseeable future with the Mets. I just don't. I don't believe in him that much. I don't trust him that much. But I would love for him to prove me wrong.
Quintana.
Yes.
I think it's not the past couple seasons. No one's saying the past couple seasons. It was just last season. It felt like every time he pitched for the Pirates, even specifically before the trade, I can't say I watched him too much as a Cardinal, but as a Pirate, he was definitely on my radar, and I felt like every time he went out there, it was 6 or 7 innings, 0 to 2 runs given up. I thought he was really good. Like I said, I do agree with you on the fact that he could potentially, when he comes back from the injury, not be good. We don't really know, because he didn't pitch too many spring training games. We don't know what he's looking like, and he's going to have to come back from this injury. But last season was a very good season for him in terms of, going out there, pitching innings, and not giving up runs, which, is every starting pitcher's goal.
Yep. All right.
But I respect the fact of, do you think he will be in the rotation when he comes back? For a while?
I don't think for a while. What I would see happening is sort of like all right, David Peterson back to the bullpen. Here comes Quintana. He's going to start. Oh, wait, Quintana doesn't look that good at it. Like, he doesn't look that good. David Peterson come back, sort of like Phantom IL Jose Quintana until he feels better and maybe he makes a few relief appearances. But by that time, David Peterson, who's the younger and, in my opinion, will be better pitcher this season, might solidify himself into the starting rotation.
Okay, I like it.
That's what I see happening.
I like it. What do you think Tylor Megill falls in?
Tylor Megill?
Where do you think he falls into this?
He's going to be the lawn reliever.
Okay.
I think that's the perfect spot for a guy who has the stuff of Tylor Megill. We saw it very early last season. His nickname is Tylor Megill because people think that he can genuinely win a Cy Young, which I would love to see happen one day. I just think for this Mets rotation, they're kind of overloaded at starting pitching, so that you're going to need to have guys who can back up the 2, 3, 4, 5 in the rotation to really lock down an offense or to shut down a potential comeback. You need that type of stuff, which the Mets have.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how much Tylor Megill plays this season. Last season, at the beginning before he was injured, he was, they were calling him Tylor Megill. He was very, very good, but then when he came back from that injury, he was not nearly as good. I'd like to see him as a starter, if I'm being honest. I think I'm a little flip-flopped with you. I would like to see David Peterson be that long guy, and I'd like to see Tylor Megill. The only issue I do see with that is that Tylor Megill is another righty, so you'd have an entire righty rotation, which, like you were saying, is why they might want David Peterson in there, and why David Peterson would probably be the better option to have in there. So I think it could go either way. I think you might be right here. Like, by the end of the season, we might be saying that, David Peterson's that 4 or 5 guy in their rotation. So I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
Moving on to their bullpen. Their bullpen, we gave their bullpen a 9.2 out of 10. Mind you, this is before the Edwin Diaz injury.
Super unfortunate.
Which was a very, very bad injury. Edwin Diaz will be out for the entire season. This was a guy who was the best reliever in baseball last season. Mm-hmm. And he got the worst knee injury you could possibly get. And he'll be out the entire season, which is just horrible.
Super horrible. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, hopefully a speedy recovery. I don't think it's possible for him to get back before the end of the season from everything I've heard. but
I
it's
would
just so unfortunate.
guesstimate, based on what I have read, is that if the World Series were to go 7 games, that Edwin Diaz could play in Game 7 of the World Series. That's how long it takes to rehab from the, I believe, torn patellar surgery or injury that he had. So, I really want him to take his time, come back, because after last season, with him taking the world by storm, along with the Mets social media really pushing him, it was just amazing. Mm-hmm. So, they definitely need him back, and I hope to see him back. You having fun? Alright, as for the rest of their bullpen.
Yeah, the rest of their bullpen, the thing is what I was saying.
Do you want to go through it?
Right, no, I'm prefacing a little bit. After the Edwin Diaz injury, there are still a lot of guys in this bullpen who can step up and close out games. So while I do think, Edwin Diaz is the star reliever, lights out, winning them games, I think there are other guys in this bullpen who can step up. And that's what it's come down to, the next man up mentality. I don't think the same guy will be closing every time, depending on how good they can be. But this is what the rest of their bullpen is looking like. David Robertson, who they got in free agency this offseason. He was on the Phillies last season, played really good with them. Adam Ottavino, who was on the team last year. Brooks Raley, who they got in a trade with the Rays, which is Brooks Raley is dominant.
Yeah.
Drew Smith, who he's kind of just been a guy the past few years.
He has been a guy, yes.
Like, that's just the best way to put it. He's just been there.
He's been one of the Mets of all time.
John Curtis, who was not on their team. He was. He was on their team last season. Hold on. I have to check. I want to check if he was on their team last season.
Okay.
He didn't play last season.
Injury, probably?
Didn't play last season. I would have to guess injury.
Minors.
I'm not 100% sure. Dennis Santana, who they got off waivers from the Twins. Steven Nogosek. Don't know if I'm saying that name right. I hope I am. And then Tommy Hunter, who they have as a non-roster invitee, but they have Fangraphs has him listed. Injured is also Steven Ridings, who they got from waivers, off waivers from the Yankees.
Yankee legend.
He was good during his time, and hopefully he'll be back at some point this season. I can't say I'm too well versed in his situation, but that's what their bullpen's looking like. Like I said, I think it's really the three of Raley, Ottavino, and David Robertson. I think those three can very much close out games for the Mets with the absence of Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, old men starting rotation, old men bullpen.
Yeah, it really is.
It's good because, these guys have a lot of experience, especially you're talking about a guy in David Robertson who was very good for almost his whole career. He has been considered a very, very good reliever closer option. The closer by committee thing is going to be interesting because I think it's going to be a jump ball sort of between David Robertson and Adam Ottavino. And I'm hoping that Adam Ottavino wins it just because I feel like he has more to prove to Mets fans, because there were a lot of big moments during last season that he kind of blew open, which, you can't just chalk up to him. It's also very good hitting, a part of the opponent's side. But definitely will be an interesting competition that Buck Showalter has to manage throughout the entirety of this season without Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, I'd like to see Adam Ottavino become a closer, because throughout his career, even going all the way back to his Colorado days, which feels like a long time ago when he was on the Rockies, he wasn't really closing too many games.
Always played second fiddle.
Wasn't a big save guy. He was more of a setup, 7th, 8th inning guy. But he has the nasty stuff. Like, he has closer stuff. I mean, maybe not as much in the last couple of years. I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it, because his slider is still insanely nasty. But he does get hit a lot. The most he ever was a closer was when he was with the Red Sox in 2021. But really, besides that, not much of a closer guy. I'd like to see him, at this point in his career, prove that he can be that lights out closer.
He definitely can. I'm going to say I believe in him.
Yeah, and like you said, make it up to the Mets fans for those games last season where he might have come in and, kind of blew it a little bit. But yeah, this bullpen is still very good, and they will still be a big part of this team. So
For
the
sure.
Trumpets will be missed this season, but they'll certainly pick up for it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna do this the entire time.
All right, so should I move on to the next part?
Do you wanna do the next part? Go for it.
Well, you said that you were going to do that the whole time.
I can do it, Bob. All right.
All right.
So for their coaching, we gave them an 8.8 out of 10. Their manager, obviously, Buck Showalter, was a big part in this score. I think Buck Showalter is arguably the best manager in baseball. I felt like every challenge I saw him make last season, which obviously I know that's not him, but he does play a role in that at the end of the day. Every challenge the Mets made was correct. I feel like that from what I watched. I know not every single one was, but from what I watched, and just a lot of the decisions he made, he's such a good baseball mind, and I feel like he was a big reason why this team played so well last season and had the team chemistry that they did. I'm big on Buck Showalter. I think 8.8 is a good score.
Yeah, as am I. Buck Showalter, he really knows what he's doing. He has a lot of experience when it comes to managing a team, especially in New York. He did it with the Yankees, and he did it last season with the Mets. Sure, at the very end, kind of grasping at straws and everything, but you have your back to the wall. You kind of have to make an offensive move, and I think Buck Showalter did all that he could, and I think he's going to improve on it going into this upcoming season.
Can we give a round of applause to Buck Showalter? Good job, Buck.
Attaboy, Bucky.
Good boy, Buck. Whoa, wait. Whoa. Okay, we gotta move on. So, the last category is their energy. Team energy, how good they were. Their energy, we gave them a 7.8 out of 10. This team is very fun. This team brings just as much energy as a lot of other teams. When they're hot, it is some of the most fun baseball to watch, especially being in the stadium. But, we kind of had to chalk it down a little bit because, they blew a 10.5 game lead last season. The vibes were not up when they were on that losing streak, and as the Braves were catching up to them, it kind of felt like the energy was a little depleting. And I think this upcoming season, we'll see a lot of energy, especially in the beginning of the season. But I think when those times hit, when the Braves are getting close, or even, dare I say, another team, like the Miami Marlins, are getting close to first place.
Yes, the boys outside.
If they lose those games, it's just so depleting for them. Because Mets will Met at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, between that and I feel like their pitching staff is not as energetic as their lineup. Their lineup definitely, you're going to be seeing guys celebrate singles like they just won the World Series type of thing. But as for their pitching, Max Scherzer, he yells a lot, but Justin Verlander is always calm, composed. Kodai, I think he just looks and feels the same exact way. Very calm, about his approach to everything. And the bullpen guys, I feel like none of them have really been big on the whole, like, I struck out the side, like, let me yell at my teammates, let me fire them up to go give me some more run support. That's what kind of keeps that score down, in my opinion.
The bullpen, I don't know if I agree with the bullpen stuff. And really, the starting stuff I understand because calm and composed before the game and all that, but, like, Scherzer,
I said beside Scherzer.
Yeah, but even then, Verlander brings energy, man. And their bullpen, I'm fairly certain you could very well find a video of David Robertson screaming after striking a guy out.
Yes, but I'm saying
Adam
that they're
Ottavino
not
maybe a
do
little
that
less
all the time.
No, I get it. I think it's a fair score.
Definitely a fair score.
Do you want to give us a rookie really quick?
Yeah, of course.
Well, in total, if you're counting along with us, we gave them a 58.1 out of the total 70 possible points, which again was third best in baseball and the second best in the National League. Lewis, give us a rookie report.
Rookie report, it's pretty easy. I don't want to touch on Francisco Alvarez, just because I think he's a terrible prospect. I don't think he has any potential.
We barely talked about it.
Because he has zero potential. It doesn't matter. He's not going to make the team again this season. As for the rookie that I want to talk about, the second-ranked prospect, according to MLB.com, for the New York Mets, 21st in all of baseball, Brett Baty. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Last season, he batted .315 with a .943 OPS over the course of 95 games in both AA and AAA, which the best part about the whole AA and AAA call up last season is that he actually had a better offensive production when it comes to his AAA rather than his AA for the short amount of time that he was in AAA. He looked really, really good. He had almost 50 walks at 49 to 104 strikeouts, which looked really good. 114 hits, 19 homers, 60 RBIs in the minor leagues is really good. And if anybody has watched any sort of Brett Baty highlight reel or anything, you know that this guy has every tool imaginable to become one of the better offensive producers at third base, which says a lot because third base is one of those really great positions in baseball.
Yeah, Brett Baty, well, like you said he did better in AAA than AA, right?
Yeah.
That's what you like to see. As you move up, you get even better, which is something that is crazy. It's crazy to me. I think there certainly is a lot of potential with Brett Baty. I wish we saw him in the majors a little bit more last season. I kind of didn't watch him much when he was up there, so I don't have too much of an opinion on him yet. I do think he is better than Francisco Alvarez, like as a prospect, kind of guy. Because like you said, we didn't really want to talk about Francisco Alvarez. Not necessarily you didn't. I kind of forgot about him. He's, what was he, the third best prospect in baseball according to the MLB?
This season, yes.
I don't think he's that good of a prospect either. I mean, he has no bat, and his defense does not make up for it that much. His defense, yes, he has a cannon of an arm, but I think besides that, his defense really isn't making up for it. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens with Francisco Alvarez this season, but I think Brett Baty will 100% be on the team by the end of the year, by even the All-Star break, dare I say. But yeah, so now we get to our MVP hitter and pitcher for the New York Mets. Lewis, who will be your MVP pitcher for the Mets this upcoming season?
My MVP pitcher, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to the guys who don't get as much love. Give me Adam Ottavino, slotting into a closer role this season and, proving that he's still got plenty left in the tank.
All right. I'm going chalk. I'm going Justin Verlander. I'm going very chalk, but I think Verlander will follow up a Cy Young season with another incredible year. MVP hitter, who you got?
Do I even have to say it? Pete Alonso is going to be not only the MVP hitter of the New York Mets, but the MVP of the entire fucking National League.
Wow.
Pete Alonso.
Very aggressive there.
Pete Alonso.
Okay. I'm going to go with Lindor. I think Lindor will be the heart and soul of the New York Mets again this year. And I think he'll be most valuable, not only on the field, but off the field too. So I'm going with Francisco Lindor. Now, what these episodes are about. Oh, before we get into that, one more thing. They are slated to win 95.5 games this season. That's their over-under. Over-under 95.5 wins.
Over
95.5 wins? I'm going to go with over 2. After winning 101 games last season and getting a guy like Justin Verlander, I'm going to go over. Now what the episode's all about, this is the real part. I'm going to say the 2023 Mets will be, and you will tell me what place the New York Mets will be in at the end of the season. In the NL East. So, Lewis, the 2023 New York Mets will be in
first place in the NL East.
First place in the NL East. Bold. And honestly, I'm going to agree with you. No, I'm not. I'm going to say second because I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
It's not I want to pick first place, but I also feel like I would have picked first place last season. And just every year, it's very possible to pick first place. I need to see it first.
Okay.
I need to see it first. So, do I think they can come in first place? Yes, absolutely. I think there's a very good chance that they do. But I'm not going to put it in writing until I see it happen.
All right.
So that's my thought. I'm going to go second. You're going first. Thank you guys for watching.
New York Mets.
Listening, viewing, commenting, subscribing. If you liked it, please put a like on the video. That helps us out a lot. And share. Do you want to grab Pete up there, Lewis?
Where's Pete?
We got our Pete bullet. But yeah, we thank you guys again. And we will see you guys in the next one. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets, baby.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.